Hello, my name is Camille Wiseman, and today we are going to be going over the regional and anatomical references through the anterior and posterior sample body I have right here. And the regions we're going to be going through are the head, the pectoral girdle and arm, the trunk, the pelvic girdle and leg. And then after looking at the anatomy here, we're going to be moving on to the 9 regions of the abdominal pelvic. So first, the axial head, which we see here, this region, is going to be the buccal, which is the cheek, the cephalic is the head, the frontal is this forehead, oral is mouth, nasal, nose, eyes for orbital, and then we have the occipital base of the skull that is more visible within the posterior version. The otic, which will be the ear, and that concludes the axial head. Finally, we have the appendicular, which is going to be pectoral girdle and arm. The acromial sits right here on the top of the shoulder, you can see on both sides. The antebrachial forearm is going to be here, and then the auxiliary armpit right underneath. The brachial, arm above elbow, is up here. So antebrachial and brachial. The carpal is the wrist. Digits are these fingers. And actually the thumb is called the pollex. Palmar is the palm of the hand. Digits are the fingers and toes, which we went over. The scapular is going to be the shoulder blade, and that's visible right here on both sides. The sternal is the breastbone that sits right in between here, between the ribs. The thoracic is the entire chest area. And next, moving on to the trunk. And the trunk includes your abdomen, so abdominal region will be the anterior trunk just below the ribs, which is down here. And we have the cervical neck, which is up back here and here. And the lumbar is the lower back, with the umbilical as the navel, which sits here, and the mammary is the breast, so right and left, or right and left. Vertebral is the spinal column, sits all the way down, middle line. And finally, we have the pelvic girdle and leg region. And that is going to start with the calcaneal heel, which is here, more visible on the posterior version. The coxal is the hip, you can see on here, but mainly on this side we can see on both sides. The crural is the front or lower leg, also known as the tail, so here in the front by the feet. The femoral is the thigh, which is both sides. The fibular is the lateral lower leg, which is going to be down here. The gluteal is the buttocks. The hallux is the big toe, so like the right thumb is the phalanx, the bottom is the hallux. Next we have the inguinal, which is the groin, and the patellar is actually the kneecap. And behind the kneecap we have the popliteal. The pedal will be the foot, representing both sides, right and left. Perineal is the area between the anus and the genitals, so here and here. Perineal, and then moving down to the pelvic region. The plantar is the sole of the foot, so between the ankle and the digits. The pubic is the genital region here, near the perineal area. And the sacral is noticeable on the posterior. The cerebral is the calf, back of the calf here, and the tarsal is the ankle. And that concludes the regional and anatomical references of the human body for the anterior and posterior human body I have presented today. Next, and finally, we'll be moving on to the 9 abdominal pelvic regions. And we can categorize those into kind of like a crisscross of here, here, a line here, and here with the 9 regions. The upper middle is going to be your epigastric region. and then down is going to be the umbilical region near the navel. The lower below that is going to be near the pubic region, and it's called the hypogastric region. On the body's left side, we have the left hypochondriac region. Below that is the left lumbar region, and below that is going to be the left iliac, or also known as the inguinal region. Going to the right side of the patient's abdomen, the upper is going to be the right hypochondriac region, below that is the right lumbar region, and just below that is the right iliac inguinal region. And that concludes my anatomy representation today. In addition, the organs within the abdominopelvic regions are as follows. The right hypochondriac region is going to include the liver and the gallbladder. Moving to the center, we have the stomach, which is the epigastric region. To the left, we have the diaphragm, spleen, and stomach in the left hypochondriac. Moving back to the right middle, we have the region of the right lumbar. It has the ascending colon of the large intestine, and the small intestine is actually to the left in the middle region, which is the umbilical region. And then to the left of the umbilical is going to be the descending colon of the large intestine. And the bottom right is going to include the cecum and the appendix in the right iliac. In the middle, hypogastric, is the urinary bladder. And to the left of that is the initial part of the sigmoid colon, which is the left iliac region. Now I will demonstrate the directional terms for the following. We have the head, which is superior to the sternum. The olecranon, which is the elbow, which is better seen in the posterior, is distal to the acromion here. The axilla is proximal to the brachium. The nose is medial to the eyes. The elbow is proximal to the carpus. The sternum is anterior to the vertebral column. The umbilicus is inferior to the sternum here. And the patella, here the knee, is proximal to the tarsus, the ankle. And the ears are also lateral to the nose.